What's this, Martin? Think that'll cover breakfast?
Good Lord, Jack. You should knock.
Don't worry, Martin. I don't care what kind of business you're up to. Although on second thought, scratch that. I'm very interested in your business. In fact, that's why I'm here. You have a lot of connections?
Depends on what you need.
I want to keep my job. I've got another 5 years in me at least. I want to prove my dismissal is illegal. You know someone who can help?
Jack, are you sure you want to get involved in this fight?
Martin, let's not,
Got yourself a new toy?
Oh, you noticed, Martin. Just like a teenager, always on the move. Yeah.
Hello. Is this Mr. Boyd?
Last I checked, who's this? And where did you get my personal number?
When you work at the prosecutor's office, it's not too hard to find someone's phone number.
The prosecutor's office? Just a second. Martin, out. I need to take this.
But Jack, it's my office. Okay, I understand. I'll go grab an ice cream. As for your little problem, Jack, I think we can work something out. Give me a couple of weeks.
Weeks?
Jack, what you're asking is...
Yeah, okay, I get it. Now get out already. I'm sorry, what did you say your name was?
My name is Lana Berman. I'm the deputy prosecutor of Freeburg. Well, one of the deputies. Not even the first deputy, to tell you the truth.
How can I help you, Miss Berman?
I don't know how to say this, Mr. Boyd. You see, Mr. Boyd, I'm in line to be the next prosecutor of Freeburg, and apparently that's happening quite soon. Soon?
Shia Broom was just re-elected for a new term.
Yes, but she'll be resigning in February. She's suffering from a heart condition, so she's chosen a replacement to carry out her term, and she chose me. You have no idea of the scandal, Mr. Boyd. I've only been at the prosecutor's office for half a year, and she chose me. It's incredible.
That really is unbelievable, Miss Berman. But what's it got to do with me?
Well, I understand how this call would seem strange to you, Mr. Boyd, but Mrs. Broom said she said that you have a lot going on, but you're the most honest official in the city. And if I really want to change the city for the better, and I swear that's what I want, then I should meet you.
I'm afraid Mrs. Broom was exaggerating.
Oh, believe me, Mr. Boyd, Mrs. Broom is not one to exaggerate. I'm sorry, Mr. Boyd, I need to run. Do you mind if I call you later?
Do I mind? Let me think. No, I don't mind, Miss Berman.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
Mr. Boyd, I am Agent Avrahami, and this is Agent Roberts. You'll have to come with us.
What now? Oh.
Please get dressed, Mr. Boyd. We'll wait for you in the car. Mr. Boyd, did you hear what I said?
You know what? You boys can go to hell. I'm not going anywhere. Not right now, at least. You can come down to the police station during regular hours. You can't just come to my house while I'm sleeping, pull me out of bed without any breakfast. Right now, the only place I'm going is back to bed. I'm closing the door now, and if you...
Jack, what's all this? I told everyone what a great sport you are and how fun it would be to play a little joke on you. Where's your sense of humor gone?
Ethan, it's 5 in the morning. At this hour, the only thing that'll get me laughing is one of you feds slipping on a banana peel.
Well, what'd I tell you? He's such a joker.
You're getting old, Ethan.
You're getting fatter, Jack.
And you're getting boring.
And you're getting fired.
Fine. You win.
But you're still a snappy dresser, Jack. As I'm sure you can guess, we've got an assignment here in Freeburg. Come on, let's go. We'll fill you in at the scene. Oh, and I really am glad to see you, Jack. You have no idea. Meet Jack. And this is Agent Suresh, Agent Kumaro, Agent Ellis, and Agent Dixon.
Jeez, how many men did you bring?
11 people on my team, plus 2 heads, but they're still asleep at the hotel. We got to Freeburg a couple hours ago. Actually, I was asked not to communicate with the local police, at least until the press conference, but, well, you're a friend. And by the way, you're lucky you didn't have time for breakfast. Now, the press are calling him the dentist. Just like every other fucking maniac, he's got his own stupid nickname. We spent 19 years chasing this guy. The MO is always the same. He kills young women in a small town, drops out of sight, and then reappears on the other end of the country with a fresh set of victims. He kills without hesitation, stuns the victim, then strangles her while she's unconscious. And that's when things get fun. He uses a power tool to ream out the dead girl's mouth. For 5 years, we've heard nothing. That's the longest break he's ever taken. Then 6 hours ago, we got a crazy anonymous tip that the dentist was in Freeburg, and he'd already committed his first murder. They even told us the address of the house. Looks like our anonymous tip came from the dentist himself, but that hasn't been verified yet. Oh, Dixon, don't go anywhere. So, Jack, listen. Dixon will take you to the station. You can bring your people up to speed. I'm looking forward to full cooperation, and it would be great if you could bag a criminal like this before you retire. A nice farewell. You know what I'm saying, Jack?
Yeah, a nice farewell.
And Dixon, Mr. Boyd will tell you where to take him. Come on, look alive. You're the police chief's driver today, if that's good enough for you. I'll come around to see you tonight. Buy us some beers, but not that piss you normally drink. That stuff gives me wicked heartburn. So I went downstairs figuring I'd find some mercenary or an escaped serial killer or some other lowlife I'd put away, right? But when I hit the lights, I saw a young kid. Couldn't have been 20. Skinny, dirty. Didn't even have a real weapon, just a rusty shiv. He just stood there, didn't say anything. My whole career, I've been staring down the most dangerous people in the country, and the only one to get into my house and scare my family to death was just some kid about to crap his pants. And I pointed my gun at him, and he just stood there with his mouth open.
Bad luck for him.
He was pretty lucky to still be alive. And you know what? It was you that saved him.
I think you have me confused with somebody else, Ethan.
No. Listen. All these years, me and Marla joked about how dangerous my job is. We figured that sooner or later someone would sneak into our house and cut us to pieces, yeah? Pretty dark jokes, but innocent enough. And Marla asks me not to jump into gunfights when she kisses me on the cheek before I leave for work. It's like we figured that if we joke about stuff like that, then it'll never actually happen. But, while I trained my gun at the kid's nose, I finally realized someone really can get into our house. Someone really can cut us to pieces. Now that it finally happened, I can't make any more jokes like that. Marla won't laugh anymore. She'll burst into tears and stay in bed all day crying, hating me more and more every second. So I figured the only way out of the situation was to show her that if someone really does dare to break into our house, he's guaranteed to get a bullet in the face. He'll die right there on the living room carpet.
God, Ethan, didn't know you were so bloodthirsty.
I'm telling you, Jack, I was serious about shooting this kid right there where he stood. I was about to pull the trigger. But then I remembered you. Remembered 1,000 years ago, we went to the lake and had some beers after an ethics lecture at the academy. I was all angry with that professor, Laszlo, yeah. Remember what he always told us? Being a good policeman is very simple. You just need to keep doing the right thing. I hated those pretentious speeches. I cussed Laszlo up and down and said, if you always do what's right, you've turned yourself into a robot. And you just sat there, drunk eyes staring into the distance. And you were all calm and said, no, Ethan, it's the other way around. To do the right thing takes everything you got as a human.
I said that. Oh, what an idiot I was.
Come on, Jack, it's not funny. When things get bad, it's those moments you gotta be hopeful and stay human. And I did just like you said. I stayed human. And then I slapped the cuffs on the kid in one quick move, just like Bobby Flash.
Bobby Flash?
What? You don't remember Evening Freeburg, the old news column? Stories about the cop hero Bobby Flash? Yeah, I heard they even published a book a few years ago.
Oh, that Bobby Flash.
Yeah, that Bobby Flash. How can you not remember Bobby Flash? We all argued at junior high about which one of us would be Bobby Flash when he grows up. Oh, I'm no Bobby Flash. A hero cop would never think about shooting a terrified teenager. But wait a minute. If I'm not Bobby Flash, then maybe you are.
Yeah, maybe so. Boyd here, and I hope you have a hell of a good reason for calling me in the middle of the night.
I'm sorry, Mr. Boyd. I'll call you back later.
No, wait. You're the girl from the prosecutor's office. Lana, right?
Yes, exactly. Oh, I'm so embarrassed, Mr. Boyd. The first thing Mrs. Broom told me about you is that you almost never sleep. I don't sleep too much either, so I thought I'd call you and apologize for last time.
But it wasn't the last time, was it?
Well, I've been going over our conversation in my mind, and I realized how stupid I sounded. You're the chief of police, and there's a strange girl calling you, saying she'll be the next city prosecutor, just to share the news, I guess. I must have sounded crazy.
Not so crazy as you imagine, Lana. When I learned I was going to be police chief, my parents were already dead, and my only friend was working 1,000 miles away from Freeburg. Wife and kids were relaxing on a distant island in the middle of the ocean. Took me 6 hours to get a hold of them. But I had to share the news with someone, or I would have gone mad. All the more because I was surrounded by half a dozen cops who figured they were ahead of me for the job. I figured you were feeling about the same.
It's like you're reading my mind. Now I'm like an outcast here. Most of them still think that Mrs. Broom was joking or trying to show her deputies that she's in charge of appointing her successor. But I know it's no joke.
For some reason, I didn't doubt it, Lana.
That's probably why I'm calling you. I know it's selfish. I'm sure your wife isn't too keen on girls calling you at night.
My wife and I, well, we're not living together. Maybe I'm the loneliest man in town, and that's why you called, to talk to someone even lonelier than you, huh? Lana?
You know, Mr. Boyd, maybe I'm an idiot, but until this moment, I didn't realize how lonely I am.
Well, you're in luck, because now you can call me anytime. But if you do, you'll have to call me Jack.
Jack? It'll take more than one phone call to get used to that.
Well, we're not in a hurry, are we?
True.
Boyd.
Well, finally, Jack. I've been dying to reach you these past 2 weeks, but I thought I should give you some time to recover your strength. How are you feeling?
Better than ever, Mr. Sand. Touched by your concern.
Well, I hope this doesn't sound too sentimental, Jack, but while you were laying in a coma, I thought about our last meeting many times. It was such a fascinating conversation. You said it yourself. You're a true hunter.
No, Mr. Sand, it was you who said that.
Was it? Well, it doesn't matter. What is important, Kendrick told me a lot about you, Jack. But I suddenly realized that he didn't give me the whole story. Why is it you only want half?
What are you talking about?
Well, why is it you only want to make half? Not a whole million, just half. Not 100,000, but 5. It's a very specific figure. How did you arrive at that number?
Well, I was looking at a house a couple hours outside of Freeburg, down the river. I figured to buy it, move the family, and set everything up, I'd need right around 500,000. It's not my style to take more than I need.
Ah. I must admit, Jack, I imagined all sorts of reasons, but none of them were close to the truth.
Are you disappointed, Mr. Sand?
No, not with you, Jack. Quite the contrary. I respect you even more.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Sand. And now if you'll excuse me, I have to go home and get some sleep.
Of course, Jack. I just...
Oh yeah, the work is definitely piling on. Truth is, if I didn't have Palmer helping me catch this psycho, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah.
You know, when he got here,
And the stuff the newspapers are saying, is it true?
What are the newspapers saying?
The girl who was killed. She filed a sexual harassment complaint against the mayor? What about the other victims? Were they harassed by the mayor too?
Well, it's hard to say.
Is it true?
So far, the mayor's the only thing we have connecting the victims, but only one of them filed a complaint against him, and she withdrew it a few days later. Someone must have pressured her, but it's hard to say anything for sure.
But is it true? Do you think it's true?
Well, let's just say it seems like it might be. What's the matter?
The mayor raped me.
Can you repeat that?
The mayor of Freeburg, Stuart Rogers, he raped me. You heard me right.
When did this happen?
4.5 years ago when I was just out of college. They gave a reception for us at City Hall. Rogers gave a speech, and there were a few other speakers, then dinner. I drank the champagne, it was hot out, the music was loud. I was feeling dizzy, so I went to take a breath in a quiet corner. I found a conference room, then a few minutes later the mayor came in with his guard. Rogers whispered something to the guard, and the guard left. I didn't have time to figure out what was going on. Roger just walked up to me, grabbed me by the throat and squeezed, and then he began to rape me. This went on. It lasted about 10 minutes.
Look, Lana, it would be very difficult to prove anything at this point, but
You wouldn't have to prove anything. I have a videotape.
A video?
A recording from a surveillance camera, a cassette. The raping mayor, sitting in my closet next to Kramer versus Kramer.
But how...
6 months after it happened, someone slipped the cassette under my door. This was the same time the city administrator, Mary Simmons, was dismissed. Quite a scandal, if you recall. I think that must have to do with it.
Lana, don't worry about a thing. We'll use this tape and ambush the bastard.
No, we're not going to do that.
Lana, listen to me. You need
It's been 4 years. Don't you think I've had time to think things through? I already decided I'm not pressing charges.
Lana, whatever you've been thinking, I promise you, it would be better if
No, it wouldn't be better. For the past few years, I've worked hard so that people would take me seriously, so they'd respect me as a professional. If I step forward now, I ruin all my efforts, my whole future, and I'll destroy my one chance to make this city better. I'll be a sympathy case, I'll be humiliated, and then I'll be attacked. And the one thing I won't ever get again is respect.
Lana, you're talking about covering up a crime.
I'm doing it because I know it's the right thing to do.
Then you're a fool.
Oh my God, I made a mistake. Just forget everything I said.
Lana, Lana, shit. Shit! Yeah, understood. Thank you very much, Walt. Sorry again for waking you up. Give my regards to Jean. Okay, gotta run. Hey, Martin, wait a minute. Martin, you still hang around with Bo Berenger?
Of course. In fact, he's my stepfather.
Great. Think he has a couple of men available? Today? Right now, in fact? There's something important I need taken care of.
Sure. Something you need help moving?
Not exactly. Here's the address. I need this house watched. All day and all night until I say stop. If anyone suspicious goes poking around, tie him up and bring him here. I'll pay double the usual rate. Or triple, whatever he needs. And nobody else knows about this, right?
Jack, they're more into looking after valuables, not houses.
What's the difference?
Well, these guys probably wouldn't care either way. Okay, Jack, no problem. I'll make the call. As for your retirement, I've been...
Let's focus on today, Martin. Now keep that house secure, all right?
Okay. I have a phone in the car. I'll call Bo right away.
I appreciate it, Martin. Believe me, I do.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah?
Anything else I need to know about this?
No. Better you don't.
Hello?
I'm an addict.
Please, I don't want...
Listen to me, Lana. I really am an addict. For 20 years now, give or take. I've been lying to myself that I'm in control of the situation, and sometimes it really seems like I am, but sometimes in the more desperate moments, I become completely dependent on the pills. And it's just dumb luck that I haven't killed myself. Or someone else. More than a few times, I've come pretty close. I've been stoned while I'm driving, was even stoned once during a firefight. I've been on drugs while I made decisions where dozens of lives were on the line. When I'm overworked, I need the pills. That's my problem. It's my weakness. But I always knew that if I admit my weakness, if I start talking about the problem publicly, if I go to rehab, then I'm already as good as retired. They'll take advantage of the scandal and get rid of me forever. It doesn't matter all the good work I'm trying to do at the police department. They'll just bury me. So I'm keeping my problem a secret, at least until I can retire. I have to. I know it's the right thing to do.
You realize, Jack, this is the first time you ever called me?
What?
You called me this time. I thought you were just waiting for me to stop bugging you, but now you called me and you opened up, even though you didn't have to. Maybe you're stoned?
What? No, I'm not stoned right now.
Well, Jack, I guess you need me as much as I need you.
I need you more than you need me.
Now I know you're stoned.
Lana, You were...
I heard everything you said, Jack. I understood everything just fine. You don't need to say anything else.
Right, exactly. Say no more. Boyd.
I don't have much time, so listen close. And we got him, Jack. The dentist is in our custody.
Wow. Congratulations, Ethan.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure if it's our guy. But she's definitely the one who committed the murders in Freeburg. And it's a young woman.
Wait a second, did you...
A very large, very strong woman. What? Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jack. I gotta go. We've got a briefing. But, something's not right, Jack. Someone's leading us around by the nose. We'll talk later, okay?
I'd almost forgotten the feeling. The feeling you get when you stay on the sidelines during a major bust. But I don't think I'll be out of the game for long. Palmer had nothing to do with this. The dentist, whoever he is, was a gift box meant for me. It just got delivered to the wrong address. And I've got a hunch who packed the box. Yeah, a box of Caesars.
With that outfit, I could see you coming a mile away, Mr. Boyd.
Ah, Mr. Chaffee. Knowing your love of theatrics, I was afraid you'd keep the mystery surrounding the dentist going for at least another day or two.
What could you mean, Mr. Boyd? Well, it's true. Robespierre does have a passion for mystery and the dramatic. But there's no need to confuse the actor with his character. For you, I'll play the hurried businessman who likes to cut to the chase. That's not quite me either, but though this mask I wear is quite a burden, I have long grown used to it. Besides, I don't want to distract you from your 180-day quest, not for a second longer than necessary. My, is half your time already up? You simply cannot imagine, Mr. Boyd, the painstaking work I've done to cultivate this maniac image. I turn to such literature the likes of which I wish I never knew. If our law enforcement agencies possessed even the slightest aesthetic sense, they would have instantly seen the game for what it was. And the postcards, what can I say?
And if the real dentist turned up again at the wrong moment? I don't imagine lunatics take kindly to imposters.
The dentist died of a heart attack last spring while he was sunbathing on the beach. I discovered this quite by accident, from a university friend, a therapist. It was he who convinced the dentist to stop killing, by the way.
Why the murders? Obviously they'd all been raped by Rogers. It would have been much easier to just get them to talk.
Mr. Boyd, the last thing I want is to appear a brutish butcher. I spent enough time on these women to know they were no use to me alive. Not sure if I should be ashamed to say it, but Stuart Rogers far surpasses me in his ability to intimidate people. Apparently, such things only come with experience. But murder? For that I truly do feel ashamed. It's a burden I shall have to bear for the rest of my days. But sadly, it's not my greatest shame.
What could be more shameful? To frame an innocent woman for such terrible crimes?
What? Are you unhappy with a woman cast as the serial killer? Firstly, I'd say Dear Jordan adds a certain grace to the whole sordid story. And second, of all the people I hold in my debt, she's the strongest. And not just physically. Third, she had good reason to settle her debt with me as quickly as possible. Without going into details, I'll just say that she's a very, very caring mother. Do these taste good? Had we met earlier, Mr. Boyd, I would have shown you a far more refined pleasure, one without such an unpleasant smell.
I'm afraid to even imagine what you count as pleasures, Mr. Chaffee. Fountains of blood in the city square?
Mr. Boyd, you're not listening to me at all. I didn't take any enjoyment from the killings. Everything I've done was of strict necessity. I couldn't make Jordan kill all the women that Rogers raped. That would have been excessive. If I had made her kill them all, you'd be rather upset, no?
I can't say I fully understand your plan, Mr. Chaffee, but you've given me more than enough reasons to arrest you.
Yes, but allow me to counter them with one good reason not to. I think you mentioned you dined here once?
Yes, not the best restaurant in town.
And maybe you're just not familiar with the full range of our services. When I inherited this tasteless place from my father, I knew I could never make it into an exquisite restaurant. Instead, I accentuated the atrocity of it all, an aesthetic of a different kind. Now I even live here. To me, this complex is like a microcosm of Freeburg. But we're not here to talk about that. At school, I read a French novel whose name doesn't need mentioning, and I read many amazing things. It seems that in Paris, just before the Revolution, certain places were quite popular. People of wealth and taste visited from the city, shed their luxurious coats, peeled off their white gloves, and with the help of the local farmer, they brutally stabbed a hole in a bull and decorated themselves with the splattering blood as they prepared a large piece of meat for the fire. In the bull's suffering, these effeminate aristocrats found a perverse sort of pleasure. Now I make these pleasures available to the people of Freeburg. I will be honest with you. People who pursue such cruelty truly are crazy. But what is interesting? The best steaks are cut from the tender meat of young bulls. 11 months is just right, beautiful, healthy, full of strength. But these wealthy degenerates who pay $7,000, so our experts will show them where to plunge the blade for maximum effect. Even they don't have the spirit to slaughter the young bull. The thought never enters their minds. They look into the eyes of the healthy animal, bursting with energy, and they quickly shuffle past. As if by instinct, they are drawn to the old, weary, fading bulls. And then, with terrible smiles on their faces, they chew through tough steaks that taste of burning rubber. They feel that they're doing something real with their own hands, a sort of natural selection, as if they're agents in the natural process. But nature also teaches us that the old beast, unable to fend off any threat, might yet survive if it cowers in a dark corner and pretends it doesn't exist. Then, perhaps, the young predator will pass. Mr. Scott will drive you back. I'm late for an appointment.
Mr. Boyd, you won't believe it, but the person I just got off the phone with was talking about you.
Seems like I'm pretty popular these days.
By the way, Mr. Boyd, I've got to ask, why $500,000?
Go fuck yourself, Troy Starr.
Mr. Boyd, this is for you.
That's it?
What's it?
This is from our guy?
What?
It's from the private detective?
What? Oh, no. No, Mr. Boyd. It's from an Agent Dixon.
Fine. I'm sorry I couldn't swing by before I left, but I'll definitely be back to celebrate your retirement. Ethan. Bobby Flash, Diamonds and Thieves. Bobby Flash and the Card Shop. Bobby Flash and the Cats Club. Bobby Flash and the Temptations. Ah, that's what I need. Needless to say, I really miss them a lot. I can't wait for the moment when I'll see them again.
Wouldn't you like to see me?
Oh, Lana, but we...
Let me guess. You've thought about it, but then you realized this can only bring us more suffering. Besides, it's dangerous given the kind of work we do, and why ruin things when everything is going so well, right?
Well, if you know what I think, then you must be thinking the same thing.
Yeah, Jack. Because it's true. But is it fair?
You know what wouldn't be fair? If your friends caught you in a karaoke bar with an old man.
With an old man?
Maybe you imagine you've been talking to a young Greek god with long golden hair, but I'm a 60-year-old man, Lana.
Listen to me, Jack. Ever since high school, I've been surrounded by old men. At university, half my classmates were old men. They might have been 18 years old, but they were already half in the grave. No goals, no ideas, just endless burned-out looks on their faces, exhausted and empty. At work, even my younger colleagues act like old men. They don't have the stomach for a fight. They're already dreaming of retirement. And then there's you, Jack, the only man for a long time who felt the same age as me. Because you fight. Because there's life inside you.
Lana, damn, it's true. There's life in me yet.
Jack, you're so cocky.
Oh, excuse me, miss. I am the most promising young prosecutor in the country.
You know it's true.
Who's there? Show yourself or I'll start popping off.
Mr. Boyd, it's me, Mr. Fry.
I don't know any Mr. Fry, and if I did, I wouldn't want him coming around in the middle of the night.
Mr. Boyd, I'm a private detective. I was looking for your wife, Laura.
Right, my wife, Flora. I'm looking for my wife, Laura. Laura Markham Boyd. Right.
You want to throw on a robe, Mr. Boyd?
I'm not cold. So, Laura, what have you learned?
I know where she lives, who she's with. I know what her plans are. To tell the truth, I learned even more than I expected, but I can't tell you anything.
I'll keep a hold of this thing just in case. So, what were you saying?
I said I can't share this information with you, Mr. Boyd. You see, Laura... Well, let's say... Your beloved Laura is with a very wealthy man. I consider myself a good investigator, but he figured out pretty quick that I was onto him. We talked, all three of us, me, him, Laura, and, we agreed that I'd stop bothering them, and in return, I'm getting a very good position in the company he owns, Mr. Oh, I almost gave the name away.
You do realize I could shoot you right here.
Well, that would hardly be fair, Mr. Boyd. I might not have come here, you know. But I decided to come clean with you, look you in the eye. I don't want you blaming Emma. She really wanted to help you. Plus, Mr. Boyd, I like you. You're a good chief of police, and I feel bad for you. So I talked to Laura, and she'll call you when she's ready. You just need to wait a little longer, and... Well, I'm not taking a penny from you for my services.
Get out. Leave the beer.
But I already drank half of it.
Don't worry, I'm not squeamish. Hey, Fry, take off your shoes.
I'm sorry?
Take off your shoes. Leave them at the door and get out.
But why?
Because when I asked you to leave the beer, it seemed like you didn't really mind. And I want you to mind. And the socks. Fine. Good night.
Well, Jack, who's your favorite right-hand man?
Francis Kendrick. But go on.
A very good lawyer. Very good. Invented a way for you to keep your job. Though invented is hardly the word. He has a whole scheme. A big plan. I just had him on the phone. He's so full of ideas I could hardly get off. Believe me, Jack, this guy knows his stuff.
Wow, I do not know what to say, Martin. That's wonderful news. Can I meet him?
Yes, of course. He's not a local. Right now he's in court on the other end of the country, but he'll be with us in 8 or 10 days. When he gets to Freeburg, we'll sit down, the three of us, and we'll work through the details.
Sounds great. And now you want something from me?
Not at all. Yes. No. Well, I mean, part of his plan is a big public campaign for your support. Talk to the press, lots of interviews, maybe even a few street demonstrations. And it would be nice if your family was there with you. I know you're not talking with your wife, but maybe your children could...
No. Listen. My oldest son and his fiancée have arranged some sort of a trip around the world. A big 7-month tour. His girl's from a wealthy family, so they're taking him with them, along with my younger kids and a few of their friends. They're out there roaming the world, and I'm glad they're away from, well, you know, all of this. They don't even know that I'm getting fired, and I'd like it to stay that way.
Okay, Jack, I thought you might say that. No problem. Oh, it's been a rough day. I think I'll go home and sleep it off.
Martin, wait. Look, you mentioned that you know Laura and me aren't talking, and, well, you think you could help find her?
Jack, I understand that's been hard on you, but I think we should focus on your retirement problem. We finish this, then we'll figure something out, okay? One thing at a time.
I hear what you're saying, Martin, but... Jack Boyd.
Well, Jack, you ready to listen to me ramble for an hour or two? I've had a very busy day.
Almost ready. Bear with me 1 second. Yes, Martin, you're right. One thing at a time. Thanks again. Go home and get some rest. We need your strength. Now I'm ready.
Mr. Boyd, Kevin Paulson is here. He wants to talk.
Kevin Paulson. Tell him to fuck off. Jack Boyd, Super Cop.
Why the $500,000, Jack? Why?
Lana, what happened?
Does this sum have some kind of special meaning?
Lana, I don't know who told you about the $500,000, but it's much more complicated than you think.
Oh, it's complicated, all right. It took me an hour to go over all the documents. There's even a few pictures and a lot of answers. Except for one thing. Why $500,000?
What documents? How did you get them? What's in them?
I think you know very well what's in them, and the one who sent them is obviously a big fan of your criminal talents. He even has a cute name for you, Cupcake.
Remember when you told me how you're always surrounded by old men? Well, I'm the opposite. I'm surrounded by children, 9-year-old boys. From their first day of work, they gather in the smoking lounge, telling jokes about what they'll do when they loot their first million. But it's more than just innocent jokes. It's quickly becoming a reality. They themselves are surprised how quickly everything happens. They buy their own houses, they buy a car, they get promoted. The first million is soon followed by a second, a third, a fifth. Like children, they have no idea what they're getting into. But I'm not like that, Lana. I'm not like them.
You're saying you're not like them because you're only stealing $500,000?
I only meant
You know, Jack, I'm done worrying about people not taking me seriously. They'll know I mean business when my first act as public prosecutor is throwing the city's former police chief in prison.
Lana, you can't just read over some papers like this and... I told you not to let him in.
I'm sorry, Mr. Boyd. I tried to stop him, but you...
Lana, we need to talk.
Jack, you're so amazingly patient with people. After all the confusion over the past months, all the humiliations, it's really quite admirable. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. I gotta admit, I'm not nearly so patient.
Send someone in here, now!
I've been thinking, Jack. When I take your place, I'll have a lot of opportunities. For example, I could arrest you. You know it wouldn't be hard to find a reason. You obviously don't want that, right? I don't want that either. Given your reputation, arresting you would make me very unpopular. And if we both don't want that, let's find a way out. My suggestion is you retire tomorrow, and I promise I'll let you leave in peace. I swear, Jack, if you...
Mr. Boyd, there's a call on line 2. Mr. Boyd, you really have to take this call.
Boyd!
Jack, it's me.
Laura,
Jack, I don't know what you wanted to say to me, but please, just say it. Jack, I'm hanging up the phone.
Laura, you... Oh my God, Laura. Hey, you remember years ago? So many years I've lost track, but do you remember when Dylan was down with the chicken pox and he couldn't sleep? We kept him occupied until he passed out, and then we went downstairs, sat on the floor, opened a bottle of wine. Who could blame us? Well, we sat on the floor and opened our bills and joked about how poor we were. Remember? And then I jokingly asked if I'd be your hero if I made $1 million. And you sat there lost in thought like you needed to seriously think about the answer. You were quiet for a while, and then you laughed and said that I'd be your hero even if I only made $500,000. Do you remember, Laura?
Jack,
Do you remember?
Honestly, Jack, no, I don't remember.
You don't remember? But that was...
Jack, you've been chasing me down for so long to talk with me. For this? That's all you wanted to tell me?
How can you not remember? It's important, Laura. It's important.
Goodbye, Jack.
Mr. Boyd, are you all right? Mr. Boyd?
Yes, you caught me again. And again, I promise this is the last time. And now you say again that I've said it all before, but I'm...
Jack Boyd is awake.
Jack Boyd? He opened his eyes? He can talk?
Talking? Yes. More like yelling, trying to escape from his room, brawling with the nurses.
Good heavens, he's a tough son of a bitch.
Jack, Lord, were you already discharged from the hospital? I thought you might be down a couple of days or even...
Emma, get me the mayor. Emma, please call the mayor of Freeburg, Stuart Rogers.
(3114). Connect. It's urgent.
This is Jack Boyd.
Jack, you've got to take better care of yourself. How's your...
I'm Freeburg's police chief. I came to work. Stop trying to get in my way.
Someone causing you trouble? We just wanted to make sure somebody was holding down the fort while you were recovering. But don't worry about a thing. I'll take care of everything tomorrow morning. You won't be running into Paulson again.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I'm glad we understand each other. Tell Martin Stett to call me.
What? You don't know? Lieutenant Stett went missing about 2 weeks ago.
Fuck my life.
Freeburg's mayoral election is just a play with a predictable ending. But I'll take my place on the stage, if only to show them that the people will find a way to support those who want change, even in a city where everything is controlled by a corrupt mayor. The crooks can falsify the voting results, they can arrest us and beat us, but they cannot silence us. And today, for the first time in many years, we have a chance to make them fear us.
While acknowledging that he himself is the mysterious Robespierre, Eugene Chaffee has also promised that he will accept any punishment for the crimes committed by him and his supporters for minor offenses and street hooliganism. But, in his words, not before the city authorities are held responsible for the dead in our streets and the millions they've stolen. Eugene Chaffee went on to say that this is the worst time.
My God, Mr. Boyd, there's no tea in the whole house. We've looked everywhere. I could bring you a nice box of Japanese tea. I think you'd fall in love.
Let's get this over with. The people on the street are freezing by now.
Oh, yes, I do apologize for the ill-mannered crowd. A man in my position deals with a lot of unpleasantness.
Mr. Boyd, don't you wonder why Mayor Rogers so easily gave you your job back?
I promised the doctors I'd think less.
Funny. The people of this city are in the opposite situation. They've begun to use their heads for the first time in many years. They've learned to argue, but of course they can't agree on anything. Does Freeburg need change? Should the old guard give way to a new generation of politicians? Would I make a good mayor? Was Stuart Rogers a bad mayor? All these arguments reek of naivete, but let's be charitable. Many of them are allowing themselves to doubt for the first time. What's important is this. In times when the people cannot reach an accord, what they need is something to unite them. And one of those things is their undying love for their chief of police. People can support me or hate me, can defend Rogers or demand his resignation, but they remain sure of one thing. Their police chief is a saint. Their police chief won't let the city fall to chaos. And despite everything, the events of recent months have only improved your reputation, Mr. Boyd. The people have been touched by your recovery from that coma, your eagerness to return again and again to your post, to serve the city. And of course, Stuart Rogers, whose position is seriously shaken, wishes to take advantage of you.
Rogers understands that he won't survive this fight. He just wasn't prepared for it. So he's planned a major security operation. He intends to storm Eugene's house, burn everything to the ground so the pillar of smoke can be seen from anywhere in the city. He wants you to personally lead the assault. He'll tell the reporters that Eugene Chaffee was behind a series of terrorist attacks across the city. When he offered armed resistance during his arrest, Eugene was shot and killed.
What are you going to do about it?
What should I do? Respond in kind, of course.
What, you're going to storm City Hall?
Don't have the stomach for it, Mr. Boyd? You do understand what my gratitude would mean. Enough money to last you the rest of your life.
My job. I want to keep my job. Not 1 year, not 5 years, but until I decide it's time to leave.
I told you, Eugene, he's no longer interested in money.
Oh, I'll take the money, too. It'll be nice to get a bonus when you extend my contract.
You ask for too much, Mr. Boyd.
Oh, really?
I'll visit you in a few days, Mr. Boyd. Gather your strength. You forgot them in my car the last time we met.
Thanks, but I gave them up. Might add a few years to my life. He's here.
Well, what are you waiting for? Jack, do you know how I managed to stay mayor for so long?
Oh, yeah, I know. Is that what you wanted to talk about?
No, Jack, it's not that. I've stayed in my position because at the very beginning of my career, I learned an important rule. If someone, anyone, friend or enemy, if they want something bad enough, you can hook them with it.
I know just what you mean.
What does Jack Boyd want? A good pension? Doubtful. $500,000. I think that whole nonsense is a myth. The others might think that you just want a paltry sum of money and you'll walk away. I think, no, I'm sure of it. You want what you've always wanted, to remain the chief of police, and only I can give that to you. You are to lead a special operation against Chaffee. I want your team to come down like a hammer on his stinking restaurant. I want you to personally be there and stand in front of the cameras. And I want this fairy shot during his arrest, 12 bullets at least. I want to see his mutilated body all over the airwaves. I expect a perfectly planned operation. And if you keep me happy, you'll keep your job for another 1.5 years. I think we have an agreement, huh?
Not 1.5 years, Mr. Rogers. For the rest of my life.
You think you can dictate terms, Jack?
Yeah. Because if someone wants something bad enough, you can hook them with it. I think we have an agreement.
Mr. Boyd, there's some armed men on the floor. Mr. Boyd, there's a lot of them.
I didn't catch that. Say again?
Excuse me, Mr. Boyd. It seems I accidentally frightened your secretary. Ah, they published these stories in a book? My grandfather read me these stories from the old newspapers whenever I was ill. As a child, I was often ill, several times a year. And you know what, Mr. Boyd? You're no Bobby Flash.
I am aware of that.
No. I mean it as a compliment. You want to clean up all the crime in Freeburg, right?
Or so I dreamed, once upon a time.
Do you know why you failed, Mr. Boyd? Do you know why Bobby Flash always wins? Because when you're surrounded by cartoon criminals, the only way to win is to become a cartoon cop. You're no cartoon, Mr. Boyd. You suffer too much. You have too many doubts, too much fear, too much internal conflict. Maybe that's why the people of this city forgive all your mistakes, because you seem like a real human being. If Bobby Flash made a mistake, we'd never forgive him. From Bobby Flash, we want cold, calculated perfection, and this is why I've decided that I don't mind if you keep your job.
What, have you abandoned your insane plan to storm the city hall?
You think it insane? To solve all my problems in a single stroke? Assuming, of course, that we're properly prepared.
Let's say we do burn City Hall to the ground and kill Rogers. What next? You simply walk into the smoke-filled room and take a seat in his smoldering chair?
No, Mr. Boyd. I've been preparing for a year for what happens next. I'll give the prosecutor's office an impressive folder with compromising evidence against Rogers. Information about how he suppressed his political adversaries, finally lost his mind, and plotted to rain blood on the streets of Freeburg. Of course, Troy Starr, faithful City Hall employee that he is, will easily confirm all this. At the same time, my dear Jordan will finally decide to break her silence and tell everyone how that fool Rogers threatened her, forced her to kill all the victims of his sexual violence to ensure their unpleasant stories would never come to light. Of course, everyone will understand that we didn't have time for formal complaints. The night before Mayor Rogers' private security detail would plunge the city into chaos, our valiant police chief Jack Boyd made the difficult decision to arrest the mayor of Freeburg. Unfortunately, Rogers descended into delusion and engaged in a shootout with the police, which ended in his death. We'll have to call an early election to replace the mayor, and of course, it won't be too difficult to win the election fairly.
And then?
You know, Mr. Boyd, most of the facts that I collected in Rogers' file are quite true. Anyone who reads through the mountain of evidence would have no doubt that this man was the most vile person in the world. Murderer, a rapist, thief, racist, sexist. Are you a sexist, Mr. Boyd?
I'm sorry?
Are you a sexist, Mr. Boyd? Or perhaps racist?
I try not to be.
That's it. I as well. Although I have long been known under a revolutionary pseudonym, I myself am no revolutionary. I believe in evolution. I am convinced that a city which offers such broad support for racist gangs, a city where people cheer as feminist protests are suppressed, a city which for decades has tolerated corrupt officials, I say this city has no interest in a mayor who unconditionally stands for freedom, equality, and the rule of law. Not yet. But perhaps they are ready for a mayor who tries to stand for freedom, equality, and the rule of law, at least when the situation allows it. That's why you're so popular, Mr. Boyd. The city is ready for people like you and me, for people who are ready to make compromises. I'm counting on you, Mr. Boyd.
And, when will they be ready?
I beg your pardon?
You said that the city isn't ready for a mayor who stands for freedom, equality, and the rule of law. When will they be ready? Who decides when they're ready?
I'll decide.
Jack Boyd, Freeburg Police Chief.
Jack, it's me. I'm so glad you're alive. Jack, look, I wanted to... Well, the situation is Laura left, Jack. She went out of town and she's not coming back. She said she didn't want to see the children. She says she doesn't want to hurt them. Well, I just thought that you needed to know.
It doesn't matter. It's too late. But thank you for calling, Mrs. Markham.
Look, Jack, I can't let things drop like that. I swear, I didn't have anything to do with that terrible attack. That day, Laura came to the restaurant, waited for you about an hour, and I was with her the whole time. You do believe me, right, Jack?
Frankly, I don't care, Mrs. Markham. I really don't. Take care of yourself.
Hey, Jack, do you mind if I take Stet's office? Your office seemed a little ratty. No offense, Jack. Jack, I don't mind the broken nose, Jack. I know you were just upset. Hey, Jack, talk to me. Jack! Jack!
How can I help you, sir?
I just want to go in.
Excuse me, sir, only members are allowed into the club.
Don't I look like a member of the club?
I'm sorry, sir, but the club is not accepting new members at this time.
What are you, brand new here? I'm an old member of the club. I've been a member for 30 fucking years.
I'm sorry, sir, but I think you've made a mistake. Have a good evening.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28,